All right, let's get into the update, and then we'll get into yesterday's game. So the first update we're going to be talking about is Mickey van der Ven, and the official supporters club yesterday voted for Mickey van der Ven as the club's player of the season. He was also voted One Hotspur player of the season and Junior One Hotspur player of the season. Obviously capped that off yesterday with a brilliant winner to give Spurs all 3 points, and a brilliant goal was taken like a season striker yesterday. But yeah, really brilliant for Van der Ven in his first season to be crowned player of the year. And I think that's good reward for what has been a stellar year for him in his first season in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, if I could have made a vote, it would have been him hands down. I think this guy is just simply magnificent. He's been outstanding, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better. And I think it was Jonathan Pearce that was doing Match of the Day commentary. And he even said, could you imagine if he hadn't missed the games that he missed? Because we saw the defence and the way we played suffered highly without him. It's been a magnificent first season and richly deserved, in my opinion. Richly deserved.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, obviously, he did have that 3-month injury, but in terms of when he's been available on the pitch, how many bad games does he have had? I think you literally point at Newcastle game, and then that's pretty much it. I think then there's a full stop after that game in terms of poor games. Other than that, he's pretty much been like a 7 out of 10 or higher in every other game, and he's been so consistent. He's had so much work to do as well in that back line. So really, really fantastic first season. I think definitely deserved that Player of the Year award. Next story we're going to be talking about is Richarlison, and according to Riaf Al-Samari of the Daily Mail, Al-Hilal will move to sign Richarlison this summer. They have made an inquiry in January after Neymar's knee injury. No formal approach has followed, but the deal is in the pipeline. Al-Hilal are privately confident they can secure a deal for the 27-year-old. Ryan Taylor from the Daily Mirror has said that Tottenham are considering a new striker as a priority amid doubts over Richarlison's long-term future at the club, with the Brazilian attracting interest from Saudi Arabia. Obviously, he did pick up an injury yesterday, which meant he his season ended fairly early. He has scored 11 goals in 18 starts this season, so I think when it comes to seasons, he's done quite well this season. It does seem as though there's increasing doubts over his future, doesn't there? And I think when it comes to this, it just something tells me there's no smoke without fire, and the Saudi talk is not going away, is it? And so I feel like if Tottenham were adamant of keeping him, then this would be a non-starter. But it just seems as though there is something in the pipeline here, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to you and Ben about this a few weeks ago, didn't I? I think this is done. I think this is behind the scenes. It's signed, sealed, pretty much delivered. And Richarlison will be heading to the Saudi Arabia League this summer. I like him as a player. Like, obviously, you and I were in the studio together when we were discussing this deal actually coming about. And it showed this season he had a little purple patch, and it showed with the right service and in the right form, he can be an incredible asset. The big problem I have with him going now is we are very, very short in strikers, and we need established strikers or someone that can come and fill the void. It's just not worked out for him with his fitness. And yeah, I think this is a done deal already, and I wish Richarlison nothing but the best in his future, because Richarlison, the person, is a wonderful human being. I praise and commend him for coming out and speaking about his mental health. People know my history and how much I endorse that. And yeah, I think the time has come where this is a done deal, but he will be sorely missed by me.
Definitely. I think if we can get our money back, obviously, for him, I think it is a pretty good deal. I think then it allows Tottenham a bit more manoeuvrability in the market to get players who are really suited to the system. I think Richarlison's obviously done well for Ange, and I do think, if he was fit for a whole season, he could be a 20-goal-a-season striker, potentially. I just do have question marks over his overall quality, and sometimes he does things which, there are players out there, for example, who have a bit better hold-up play, a bit more quality when they get the ball to feet. They keep it a lot more. They don't give it away as much as Richarlison. But look, Richie has impressed me with his ability in front of goal, his first touch finishing, which is very, very difficult to do. So look, if he is still here next season, I'm not going to be against that. But I do think if we can get our money back at this point, it's probably best for everyone if Richie is happy to move on. But it's interesting because a lot depends on where we see Son next season. Because if we see Son as a left winger, which obviously in recent weeks he's been quite good in that position. If we see him as a left winger, then do we need two strikers in the summer potentially? Which would definitely, and that's going to be a lot of money depending on who is. But if we do see Son as a striker predominantly, then we'll probably only need one striker in the summer. So I think Andrew's got some big decisions right about where we see Sonny next season.
Yeah, I mean, I pray to God that I hope Tottenham Hotspur see Heung-min Son as a left winger next season, or at least playing from the left. Either way, even if we saw him as a striker, we still need two. We still need two because obviously we're going to be short on the left, so at least you have the option to put Son left if Tottenham see him as a striker. But we definitely listen. The way I'm looking at this is reminding me now of when we sold Keane and Berbatov in the same season. We're just doing it now a season apart with Kane and Richie. And we'll leave ourselves very, very light in the recognised striker department. And it needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed. And two definitely need to come in if Richarlison is to leave this football club, which I believe he is.
Yeah, and that's a lot of money. Plus, you probably want a winger on top of that as well. If we even with Son as a winger, you probably want another winger in there. So, yeah, I think a lot of decisions to be made in the summer for Ange. It'll be interesting to see where he's kind of leaning. One interesting deal that maybe is in the pipeline is Marcus Edwards, record in Portugal, saying that Marcus Edwards is keen on a Tottenham return this summer. The winger is eager to return to London, and Spurs retain a 35% sell-on clause. Sporting have begun looking for potential replacements already. I do wonder if this is just paper talk, if there's genuine interest on Tottenham's side for Marcus Edwards to return to Spurs. Obviously, would be homegrown. I do think there is a good player in there. Whether there is a consistent player, I think, is the question mark. Obviously, he's done quite well for Sporting when he's been there. He hasn't been a goal contribution machine, but he definitely has quality. Obviously, he did score at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, didn't he, the Champions League last season with a really good effort from outside the box. Is he a kind of winger you'd be excited about, or do you think maybe it's only a deal we're interested in because we have that clause and he might be a cheap homegrown option?
It's a bit of both, in all honesty, Simi. But the thing that's puzzling me with this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure within the Porro deal we sacrificed some of that percentage of a buyback clause or whatever it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure there was something at the last minutes that got the deal done. That was some of that. Maybe the percentage was dropped. Who knows? I liked Marcus Edwards when he was at Spurs, but obviously it came out about his attitude and his application. Maybe he has matured with his time away, and that isn't so much a factor. He is a very, very exciting player on his day, and he has shown it in Portugal. Don't forget, he played very well against us in Lisbon as well. So he had a very good couple of games ago about us. But do I think this has got something to do with the homegrown trained and everything for Europe as well? Yeah, I obviously do, but I wouldn't be opposed to him coming back at all. But I think this does have a bit of, like you said, there's a deal to be done. And if we didn't have the buyback clause or whatever it may be, will it have been an option? I don't know. But I do like him as a player.
I think you can hear that Jaws music of Daniel Levy circling, I think, when it comes to this kind of deal, that's for sure. I do think he's an exciting player. I do think he's got pace. He's got a very good left foot. But the problem is, I think he is now 25, I believe, years of age. Let me just check that out. I think he's 25. He's never really been a consistent performer. I mean, this season he's got 4 goals, 5 assists in 25 games, which is not bad, but it's not like a ratio that screams this guy is going to take it to the next level when he comes to the Premier League. He's at one of the top teams in Portugal who I think they're going to win the league 2 seasons in a row. So they've been dominant. and he's getting decent numbers, but not like numbers in a league which tells me that will translate to Premier League. Like, I feel like he might be a frustrating player in the Premier League. I don't know if he's got the physicality for it. So I think there are question marks. Obviously, if we do sign him, he could be a good, exciting deal. But I feel like there are better options out there than Marcus Edwards for me. I think we could spend a bit more money and get a much better quality player than, go for Marcus Edwards, where I just get the feeling that he's going to be a player which frustrates us more than anything, in my opinion. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Next story comes from Footy Insider, who's obviously not the best source, but they're saying on Ivan Toney, Brentford would demand 50 million to sell Tottenham target Ivan Toney this summer. Spurs are expected to have a free run at the striker as previous interest from Arsenal and Chelsea has eased. West Ham may compete for his signing, but he prefers a move to Spurs. I do think Toney would be a player who fits our system. I do like his profile. I think, as much as it's been a struggle for him since returning from his ban to, score the amount of goals he scored before, I still think he's actually played quite well in spurts in that run. And there's obviously he's had a few injuries, but there are big question marks about his attitude and about his character, I should say, with various videos circulating about him being defamatory against Brentford, him constantly saying that Brentford is not a team he wants to be at, and he wants a high ceiling. But maybe is that not just the sign of an ambitious player? What do you think about Ivan Toney?
I'm so torn with how I feel on him. Listen, on his day, he's devastating. He's lethal. He is a proven Premier League goal scorer. He had a great season last season, or the season before the ban kicked in. He was on fire. He can be a very good striker, but then you mention all the things like he's done when he was on holiday and mentioned him. But I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't. If we want a guy to put the ball in the back of the net, does Ivan Toney do a job for Tottenham Hotspur? I think the answer is yes. I think it's yes, he does. Obviously, you can't knock his penalty taking. I mean, heaven forbid Tottenham get a penalty to take at the moment. But I think he will score goals in a Tottenham Hotspur football shirt. Do I think? Would I want him? I don't know. But if he's about, I don't believe Tottenham have a free run at him. That's the one thing I don't believe. A player like him comes on the market. I think it's the final year of his contract as well. With it, there's going to be people that are sniffing around Ivan Toney for sure. Would I want another striker? Probably, but is there doubting that he would do well in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt? I don't think so. I think he would exceed in this. I think he'd do very well at Tottenham.
Who do you think Arsenal and Chelsea are going to be seriously interested in him?
No, the one that keeps nagging away at me, and I think they might be West Ham. I really do. I think West Ham, and you look what they've been doing recently when they looked at Ward-Prowse with Kudus, they will spend the money now. And if he's about, they may just well come and do it. Again, it all depends on Lopetegui. If Lopetegui does officially, I don't think we've got the here we go that he is the manager yet, have we? It all depends who comes in. But I think if Ivan Toney is going to be available, there will be more than Tottenham Hotspur going for it. And West Ham would be the one that I would think. I mean,
would we
if
not
Arsenal
be the front runners?
I don't think we stand a chance.
Would we not be the front runners if it's just between us and West Ham?
You would think so. You would think so. As club-wise, you would think so. Then it will come down to, it depends how quickly the deal will get done, how the deal will get done. We'd have to wait and see. You would want to think, Simeon, that Tottenham Hotspur would be favourites to sign him over West Ham. But we'll have to wait and see. And again, it depends if Spurs really are, if this is paper talk, and Spurs really want him. It could be another Paratici smokescreen.
You're right. And the last story comes from Alan Nixon out in Italy, and they're saying that Napoli want to sign Dragusin this summer. However, Tottenham would want 40 million for the defender. Apparently, given his lack of playing time, he might be open to a fresh start already in the summer, and Tottenham might be willing to let him go if we get what would be, I guess, a £10 million profit on him this summer. That would be quite a stark move, I guess, if he was to move so soon after coming to Tottenham without really getting the proper opportunity. Do you understand if he is that frustrated, he'd be willing to move so soon, or do you think this is just a bit of talk and, you know, he'll definitely be here next season?
I think it's the latter. I think it's the latter. But if it ends up being the former, then I have extreme issues about what this club is doing again. Because why buy him in the first place? Just whether he got first team minutes, whatever. What was the point in having this chase with Bayern Munich? What was the point of wasting that time when you go and get a player that would? It will give me, and people will start talking about this big change in the summer, and there's to be so many. I wouldn't have thought Dragusin, who's just come in, would have been one of the players we're needing to replace. And then that makes our defence light again. And we talk about a striker and a winger. That'll mean we need not only a striker and a winger, or two strikers and a winger. That'll be a left centre-back and a right centre-back needed as well, before we even address the midfield. So I'm really hoping this is paper talk. Listen, we know what Dragusin's agent's like.
Yeah.
Could he be putting petrol on a fire? Yes, he could. But I don't think this. I'm hoping this is a non-starter. I really do.
Do you think he starts on Tuesday with Van der Ven left back, considering how we ended the game? And maybe he has a bit of a timely end of the season. What I'll say, and we'll discuss this obviously when we break in more into the match. We did this against Burnley, and no offence to Burnley, or no disrespect, they're not Manchester City. Can Van der Ven play left back against Man City? I think he can do whatever he wants against whoever he wants. But does that leave the mid defence exposed with two right-sided defenders without the pace that Van der Ven brings? Yes, I think it does, especially with Haaland running through. So can he play that position? Yes. Do I want to see him play that position against Man City? Not really. But like you said, could that be an option for Ange? Yeah, definitely. And I hope so. I'd rather see that than what we have been seeing. So it is an option. All right, well, look, that is it for your Tottenham update. Let me know in the comment section below everything we have discussed today.